Hey everybody, it's Tom. I want to give you the first guitar lesson that I wish someone had given me when I started out. I ended up teaching myself over about 20 plus years and had to learn some of this stuff the long way, so I want to teach you guys right from the beginning. If you're just starting out on guitar, this is some stuff you really need to know. We're going to talk about everything from the very beginning. So, first things first, you've got your guitar. There's a good chance that you were right-handed. That guitar goes on your right leg. It doesn't go over here. Makes it very hard on your wrist to reach over and play over there. Put it on this leg, or put the strap on and stand up with it, and you'll notice that it swings where it would be on line with your right leg anyways. So this is the proper ergonomic position to sit and play guitar. With our hand, putting fingers on the notes, the very first thing we want to know is that it's best to use your fingertip. Right from the start. Use the tippy top of your finger, or at least pretty close to it. You don't have to get it right under your fingernail, but we want to be having our fingers go on with a curve or an arch so that when we play, we're only touching the one string that we're on. If our fingers go on flat, you're blocking the other strings, and that doesn't make a difference at level 1, but at level 1A it starts to make a difference, and so you might as well not cause yourself the headache. And let's get used to using arched fingers and going on with your fingertip. You got to hold the note down. Let's turn my volume up here. You got to hold the note down hard enough that it touches the metal fret right in front of your finger, and we hear, when we pick that string, we should hear a nice clear note. If we hear this, that means you're touching the string, but you're not pushing it down hard enough. If we hear this, it's a little buzzy, doesn't want to ring out very well, that means you're in the right spot and you're pushing, but you could push harder. There's our nice clear note. Some people are surprised at first how hard they have to push. Some people are not. Depends on who you are. But you want to use your ear to determine when that note sounds good. Another thing about making the note sound good, this whole space here that my finger is on is considered the 5th fret, but the actual fret wire, the metal bar here that's embedded in the neck of the guitar, that metal bar is fret 5, and I want to be right behind fret 5, maybe with the width of a pick of clear space. You can see a little bit of the wood there just between my finger and the actual metal bar. This is how we make good contact with the fret. When we fret a note, we're actually shortening the string. Everything behind it doesn't work. Same as if you play over here behind the neck, or behind the nut, I should say. So we've shortened the string there. If I sit in the wrong part of the fret, listen to this. Terrible. This is because now I'm pushing the string down into the wood of the fretboard, and then a centimeter past that, it's grazing the fret, and we're hearing that buzz come right from that fret. There it is. So every finger, every fret, every time. Front of the fret. Especially if you're playing melodies. There's some situations with chords where you may get away with not being very nice to the fret, but it doesn't matter what style, what kind of string instrument, what kind of guitar, anything with strings and frets, that is how you fret a note. So fingertip, curved finger, push it down hard enough, be in the right place on the fret. You can use your thumb on the back of the neck to kind of pinch the note, apply a little pressure with the thumb pushing forwards while the finger pushes inwards. That can make it easier to do. The first thing you want to practice with guitar is a 4-finger position. All I'm doing is playing one finger after another, one fret after another, until I run out of fingers, and then I'll go down to the next string until I run out of fingers, and I'll keep doing that in the same spot on the neck until I also run out of strings. We don't have to play it fast. Mine goes fast because I've been playing this every day for 20 years and telling people to do the same. But what's most important is that the fingertips land where they need to, and that your hand occupies the space of these 4 frets the whole time. Here's a bad example. having to move my hand for every note there, there's no way I'm going to play something that sounds very fluid and connected if I'm mushing my fingers together. If I can spread them out, suddenly music is possible on the guitar. So we're not doing this exercise just to learn how to count to 4 or to learn how to see 4 fingers in a row. We're actually building posture with our hand. A few other points about holding the guitar in the neck with the left hand. We want our fingertips to touch the strings. We want our thumb to touch the back of the neck, but we don't want our palm to be wrapped around the back of the neck. We don't want to be hitting the bottom like that and bringing our fingers on, because all it's going to do is serve to cut off access to some strings, and it's just a habit that, again, might work on level 1, but level 2, it's going to start to cause you problems. So fingertips only. And then you may notice I'm doing this exercise in the middle of my fretboard, fret 5, 6, 7, 8. This is because it's right in the middle. You can see my arm is nice and straight behind my fingers. These 2 middle fingers are the true middle of my position, and they don't, like, these 2 fingers don't really want to move to the left and the right, especially on the guitar. Like, they're not as movable laterally as your pointer and pinky. So these 2 fingers sit in the middle of the position. The pointer and pinky reach out away from the hand to occupy that airspace, and the whole time my arm is straight behind here. Now, if I have to play this over here, I'm bringing my forearm with me. What we want to avoid at all costs is having your arm here, your wrist over here, and then you have to turn your hand in and then turn your hand up and then start trying to make guitar chords. This hurts even pretending to do it. It's a good way to ruin your carpal tunnel and make yourself hate your guitar. So have that posture, that forearm position everywhere you go on the neck. Always going to make things easier to do. So that's our 4-finger exercise. I encourage you to do that every time you pick up the guitar for a minute or more if you got the time, but do it for a minute. Put your hand into guitar mode, then go about whatever you're about to be practicing. You'll notice that this translates into better finger independence for chord changes, nice automatic positioning for riffs. All kinds of benefits come from doing the 4-finger pattern. So we're going to work that in from day 1 foundationally. Talking about our pick over here, on the other hand, we want to hold the pick between either your middle finger and your thumb or your 4-finger and your thumb. I don't really care which one, but I'm a middle finger guy. And what matters most is what you're doing with the angle of the pick. So if my pick is pointing at the ground, I want my thumb behind it to be pointing straight at the wall, 90-degree angle. And then I can have whatever finger here hanging on. But this way, with the pick held at that angle, when I rest my arm on my guitar and or rest my hand on my bridge, now my pick is pointed naturally at the strings. I don't have to do it as an extension of my thumb like that and reach in. I can be controlling the strings with the side of my palm, and I can be naturally picking through the strings. Even having your hand rested here helps to feed into that spatial awareness that we practice with the 4-finger exercise as well. So in the first guitar lesson, you want to have some technique practice, which we just talked about. And I like to send my students away with a melody they can practice and a couple of chords they can change. So we're going to talk about a melody first, and you already heard me play it a little bit there. It's one that fits right nicely inside of our 4-finger pattern, and it's Sunshine of Your Love by Cream. The guitar player for that group, of course, the famous Eric Clapton. This riff, not too hard to play, it's just a nice melody, and it fits directly inside the box that we just practiced with 5, 6, 7, 8. Got my ring finger here on string G, that's the 3rd string from the ground. I got my pointer finger ready for 5, just like it would positionally be doing in the 4-finger exercise. So I'm going to go 7, 7, 5, 7. Gonna jump one string deeper, 7, then the middle finger for 6, the pointer finger for 5. And then our final jump, up another string, well, deep another string, pointer finger, pinky finger out to that 8th fret, and back to the pointer finger. My pick is picking only one string at a time, of course. I'm only trying to get these single notes. If we want to play more than one string at once, we have to talk about chords, and that's our next topic. I want to give us maybe the two most commonly occurring chords that we're going to run into with guitar. And let's start with a G. G, there's a few different ways to make a G chord in the open position, but I like to work with this one with beginners because it gives us a cool chord change to connect. So what I'm doing here to make this chord, I have my middle finger, my longest finger, on the biggest string, the E string, and I'm on the 3rd fret. I got my pointer finger sitting fairly naturally just on the next fret back, kind of like we're in our 4-finger position again, and it's on the 2nd fret. So 3 on the big string, 2 on the next string. I leave the next 2 strings, the middle strings here, those ones I leave open, and then I've got my ring finger and my pinky finger crammed in, kind of stacked on top of each other there on the 2 smallest strings. There's the pinky on the little E, and there's the ring finger on the B. Those are both in the 3rd fret, same fret as the middle finger. There's a lot of 3s going on in this chord. My pointer finger hits right there like we saw, and the strum is all 6 strings. My thumb in this case, unlike with the 4-finger exercise, the thumb can go where it needs to go. So in this case, I've got these 4 fingers here. My thumb tends to brace itself well right about here. You can see the tip of my thumb going over. Everybody's grip could be different for this. It kind of depends on the shape of your guitar, the size of your hand, etc., etc. But don't worry about hiding your thumb in a certain spot when we're doing chords. We think about that for melody because it's good for the technique, but for chords, we need the chord to sound good, priority number 1. So, G is our first chord. Now I'm going to change to D, and the eagle-eyed among you will notice that my ring finger didn't move. That note, the 3rd fret of the B string, actual note is a D, that note is in both chords. And we can use that to our advantage. When it's time to change chords, number 1 thing we need to do is have every finger land at the same time. So let's talk about where we need to take these fingers. A D chord has the middle finger on the small E string, it has the ring finger on the next string on the 3rd fret, and then the pointer finger on the 3rd string, next string after that, and it's back in the 2nd fret. So I've got 2nd fret, 3rd fret, 2nd fret, and these are all the 3 smallest strings of my guitar. And I want to be in there with my fingertips, especially with the ring finger needs to be a fingertip, because if it hangs down, my little string, it doesn't matter how good the middle finger does if the ring finger just blocks it out, right? So I've got fingertips on. I'm going to play from string D onwards, because we want the lowest sounding note in our chord should be the name of the chord. And in a D chord, we need that note to be D. This is the lowest D available to us in standard tuning. So the D chord is a 4-string strum. Now, we mentioned before that the ring finger didn't have to go anywhere between these 2 chords. So let's look at what does have to move. The middle finger has to cross the whole fretboard. In one chord, it's on the little string. In the other chord, G, it's on the big string. So that finger can lead the charge. It can be the first thing that kind of jumps in your move, but it does not mean that we want to go one finger, then the other finger. No matter how fast you can do 3 things in a row or 3 little finger moves like that, they won't be as fast as one combined move. So how do we do it? We slow down. We think about what each finger needs to do, and we practice that motion in midair. and we don't allow any new fingers to land until they're all gonna land. Muscle memory is a curious thing. It doesn't matter how fast or slow you do this practice, it matters how accurate your attempts are. We can liken this to learning to tie your shoe. The first time you tied your shoe when you were a little kid, it probably took a while. You probably needed help. You probably needed a little song to remember how to do it, and it probably came undone anyways, and you got your mom to do it. But what about the 10,000th time you tied your shoe? That's it. You tied your shoe like it's a bodily function. You can get your chord changes and your guitar moves to be the same thing. You just have to practice them slow and smooth. If you practice fast and chaotic, then what you're telling your muscle memory is that that's just how to do it. And then when you come back, your first instinct will be to play fast and chaotic. But you can achieve great speed if you have real accuracy. If you do the moves right, it's just a matter of time until you can do that move like tying your shoe. So that's enough out of me for today, guys. I hope you enjoyed the lesson. Keep checking back because I'm going to keep making beginner videos, and I'd be glad to take you all on the journey with me. Have a good one. Oh, and like, subscribe, and comment, and all that YouTube stuff.